Did Sam Altman of OpenAI just call my mother a liar? Welcome to the Joe Code, Decoding Tech, Simplifying Solutions podcast. Did Sam Altman of OpenAI just call my mother and maybe your mother a liar?
Oh, that's quite a question. Well, we're actually going to be talking about something related to OpenAI in a little bit.
Yes, it connects in a rather unexpected way, though perhaps not in the way you're imagining with anyone being called a liar.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're looking at how something seemingly small when you interact with AI can actually have a big impact.
What's fascinating here is how user behavior, even polite phrases, contributes to the operational costs.
Right, you ask it to do something, you add a please, and suddenly that's a budget line item for a huge company like OpenAI.
Exactly. My mother taught me that politeness costs nothing. Please and thank you are free. But now Sam Altman and OpenAI are saying politeness literally costs them millions.
That's a really interesting point, and it speaks directly to what we were just saying.
Absolutely. It seems counterintuitive, right? These little niceties that we're taught are costless.
But as that New York Post article from April 2025 highlighted, all those pleases and thank yous add up in a big way for OpenAI.
Okay, let's unpack this. How does saying please increase their costs through data volume?
So every single word constitutes at least one token. In some cases, constitutes multiple tokens. More words, more tokens, more compute, higher cost. So simple words like thank you and please add up to millions of dollars for a company like OpenAI.
Exactly. You've clearly grasped the core of it.
It's that seemingly small unit, the token, that really drives up the expenses.
And when you consider the sheer scale of interactions daily,
Right, billions of those little polite phrases flying around.
even those tiny additions become a really significant expense, just as you said.
Millions of dollars tied to saying thank you. It's quite a thought.
Well, and the crazy thing is the politeness is actually both ways. The politeness of the user interacting with AI, which causes AI then in turn to be polite back, saying thank you, please, great job, great question. All of those translates to tokens, and all of that translates to more cost.
That's a fantastic point. It absolutely goes both ways.
You're right, we've been focused on our politeness to the AI.
But those canned, polite responses the AI gives back.
Like, thank you for your question, or please specify.
Exactly. Each of those pleasantries generated by the AI.
They're also made up of tokens and require processing power.
So the cost implications are actually doubled in those interactions.
It's like a politeness ping-pong match with a real financial cost.
The ping pong match is a perfect example, and that's really funny.
We're glad you enjoyed that analogy. It really does paint a picture.
Yeah, that back and forth of niceties adding up on both sides.
It definitely brings home the surprise that even AI's politeness adds up financially.
Right. It's not just the complexity of what you ask.
This really shines a light on how the sheer volume of all these tiny interactions truly matters.
It's definitely a valuable thing to understand, especially if you're running a business using large AI models.
So does this make you wonder if we should all aim for more direct, maybe even blunt interactions with AI?
Huh.
That's a really good question, but I would say no. And the reason why is because we do want people to become less polite. We want them to become more polite.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
So the goal isn't to be less polite to AI.
You're suggesting the opposite, actually.
Could you elaborate on that thought?
It really flips the initial question on its head.
We were just about to get into thinking about how this cost might affect how we interact with AI.
But don't you think that if we are less polite with AI, we then risk becoming less polite as we interact with each other?
That's a really insightful point. It touches on something quite fundamental about our behavior.
Absolutely. It's almost like there's a risk of that rubbing off, isn't there?
If we practice less courtesy in one area, could it bleed into others?
It almost brings up a bigger point about how we see our interactions generally.
Right, it touches on the value we place on politeness itself, as you're suggesting.
It feels like good manners shouldn't have a downside, and you're highlighting a potential one.
Okay, I think we'll wrap it up here. And just remember, more words equals more tokens, and more tokens equals more compute, and more compute equals higher cost for these AI models. That's true about the input as well as the output. Till next time.